We threw all the numbers and the analysis, the analytics, the sabermetrics, anything that applied to mathematical equations that only Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting could understand. We threw all of that shit right out the window yesterday and went with a tried and proven formula. And that is, if you're making a bet, always go against a known kiss of death. We did this courtesy of the world's luckiest man who was with us yesterday, Jersey Kyle Martinez, who had heard a couple of guys at the bar at the track talking about how the Los Angeles Rams were a veritable cinch, that they were going to bury the Miami Dolphins in last night's game, the Monday Night Football game, wrapping up the week in the National Football League. Dolphins came in a pathetic 2-6. They were losers of 4 or 5 ball games in a row. Hadn't looked particularly swift since Tua Tagovailoa had come back. Tua Tagovailoa is what I meant to say. And Burial looked to be very much in the foreseeable future. You didn't have to have a crystal ball to see that. They end up winning the game. The old adage, too, from any football coach, you keep them out of the end zone, you hold them to field goals in the red zone, you're going to come out with a win. So the Dolphin fans are now euphoric. And we staved off infamy in the state of Florida. We were talking about that on yesterday's edition of Bury Your Bookie, by the way. Morning, everybody. I'm Jeff DeForrest. Good to have you guys with us. We'll be talking to Scotty M, coming off a big week last week. He's going to be joining us in just a few minutes here on the program. But, go against a known kiss of death. The people that are always crying after every race, after every ball game, I tell you what, if the guy had missed a field goal, those are the guys that never win. And all you have to do is know what their opinion is, and you don't have to dive into all of these mathematical permutations that everybody is citing, and any piece of handicapping that you look at. People are going crazy analyzing numbers that you never knew existed. Been doing this our whole lives. We know what to do, right? Just once in a while, a little gut instinct, go against the people that you know are normally losers, and you'll come out with a victory. So Dolphin fans, like I said, they're infused with a new level of enthusiasm. We're here in South Florida, and all of a sudden the news stations are reporting early this morning, yeah, there it is. That's going to be the catalyst to a playoff run. I don't know about that. They have a couple of soft games coming up you might take a look at, going to be at home, and maybe they are performing a little bit better. But it was certainly nothing that made you think that this team is ticketed for a Super Bowl appearance. If you are betting these games, you want to come out on top, Bet Online. That's the place to do it. They're the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. You're betting on it, you're watching it, you're having a great time. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment props, BetOnline is the place to go. Head there for all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. The state of Florida staved off infamy by not going 0-12 for the weekend. As I said, we talked about this yesterday. You had Miami losing to Georgia Tech. That was somewhat of a surprise to people, although there were those that thought Mario Cristobal, as we've been preaching, was going to be accountable and responsible for at least one inexplicable loss, and maybe not more. Then you had Florida State get clobbered by Notre Dame. Florida went down to Texas, number one team. It was not a contest. You had Stetson. You had Bethune-Cookman. You had FAMU. You had every geographical destination in the state of Florida lose on the gridiron. South Florida, Central Florida, Florida Atlantic. Then the Jags and the Bucks lost, and the state was looking at 0-11 going into last night's game. Were they going to go 0-12? Did you have that, Scotty M? A parlay, a money line parlay? All Florida teams, college and pro, losing over the weekend. Your 12-team parlay would have got you back, no doubt, triple figures in terms of odds. How are you, my friend? We welcome Scotty M into the show, coming off a big 3-1 week last week here on the program. How are you, Scotty?
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number 1.
Were you all over that? Okay.
Yeah, I had them. I used the Dolphins. I liked them in that spot last night. I just saw the right number and the right situation there, so I capitalized. I got the only state of Florida winner, and it worked out great.
Yeah, and it seemed to be somewhat in control in this game, although I do believe that Tua Tagovailoa has somewhat of a death wish. When a guy is coming back the other way with a fumble recovery or a pick, you don't have the quarterback. You have to do the Marino, right? Where you would do the token run after the guy and then wave at him as he went into the corner of the end zone. You don't want your quarterback in there. This guy's sticking his head in the middle of the pile there, and well, once again got kneed in the helmet, but came out of it okay. I thought when he got up, he was going to be speaking in Hebrew, my friend.
Yeah, I was. I don't know what he's thinking. I tell you, I like the fact that he's trying to make things happen, but sometimes you got to just stay away from things like that. Just quarterback in his position where any blow could knock him out for weeks or permanently. To get involved in trying to get a guy 270 pounds running like a freight train right at you, right by the sidelines. On top of it, just let it be, man. Let your other players help you out in that spot.
Let some big, fat, 325-pound lineman go in there and try to make the tackle. Tua Tagovailoa should have been nowhere near there. If anything, Coach McDaniel should have run across the field and grabbed him to the other sideline and said, "Hey, listen, stay out of this, kid. You were just, seeing triple a couple of weeks ago. We need you back in there." Anyway, I don't know. Do you give him any hope by the rest of the season? I have a couple of soft home games coming up. One against your beloved New England Patriots. And I
Yeah,
believe they play the Colts next week, so two winnable games could find them at 5-6 going to Green Bay 3 weeks down the road. Should there be any talk, any consideration? This happened with the Jets when they went to 3-6, and all of the Jet fans and the New York media, they're going crazy. Oh yeah, well here it is. Aaron Rodgers finally going to play dividends, and then they go out and lay a Rodan-sized egg in their game against the Arizona Cardinals last week, and now their season is beyond on the brink. But do
yeah.
you see any reason to be enthusiastic about this Dolphin team?
I actually do. I think they have definitely more potential than the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers' goatee, the way with the gray in it, showing is kind of showing his getting a little past the game of football. It seems like I think he needs to go relax somewhere. I don't know. He's just not the same guy anymore. But yeah, to answer your question, as far as the Dolphins, I think they can go on a little run. I like the way they played against Buffalo. They took that momentum, traveled across the country, played a stellar game last night. I mean, they played good on both sides of the ball, enough to win it, obviously, and cause fits for the Rams. So I like that momentum. They started building it on against Buffalo, took it up a little level against the Rams, playing against a weak team this week against the Raiders, which I'll talk about when we get into the NFL stuff. And yeah, I could see them, trying to salvage the season, but I don't know how far they could go. But I'd like to see them at least come back and make the effort to get back to a respectable win-loss record this year. But I think they're building a little momentum, Defo. I like the way Tua's playing. I like the way they rally around him. It seems like they get jacked up on the offense and the defense when he's in there. So I think that spark plug of him, as long as he stays healthy, obviously, is going to inspire the other guys. And if they start winning games, they're going to start building up, that momentum.
Fortunately for me, Leslie and Henry from No Filter have buried, and I believe there is no physical copy of the tape that I had from Bury Your Bookie early on when we suggested the Dolphins would win the AFC East, and we're a good bet at 2-1. That
Me too.
has long since gone up in smoke, so we're not feeling too good about that. But thank you very much, the people at No Filter, for destroying that piece of evidence there. It was like the Nixon tapes there. 18 minutes are missing there, President. What do you have to say about that? Not much. But, yeah, we were dead wrong about that. Hopefully they can salvage something out of the season here for the local people, but not overwhelmingly optimistic. They just didn't really capitalize on all the opportunities they had to put a really spectacular team together. It appeared they might be there before the year started, but we overlooked the usual flaws of lack of depth and the fact that they were throwing money around like it was Halloween candy and gave it to 3 or 4 guys, and unfortunately don't have the rest of the roster to stand up when they face, as all NFL teams do at some point in the season, some kind of injury adversity. Are you betting the NBA? I'm looking at these numbers in the NBA, Scotty M. Last night, how good are these bookies? They should have had anybody that makes lines in Las Vegas running for president and any significant level of office in the American government, because everybody would be wealthy today, prospering. Last night, 2 games. They had Oklahoma City laying 6 against the L.A. Clippers. So what's the final? 134-128. Right on the number, my friend.
Right.
You had New Orleans getting 1.5 from the Brooklyn Nets, who made a representative showing, even though they were supposed to be a really lousy team this year. They're doing a little better than people expected. New Orleans getting 1.5. What's the final there? 107-105. The Nets prevail and cover by a hook. Pretty amazing how they do this. I mean, we went with total gut instinct last night on that Miami Dolphins game. We threw out all of the numbers, we threw out all of the analysis, and just went by the reverse kiss of death theory, which I think you subscribe to also, Scotty. I mean, even though you're a very methodical professional handicapper and are less inclined to say, hey, just because Lou thinks the Rams can't lose tonight, I'm going to go ahead and bet all my money on the Dolphins. But
Yep.
yeah, there were a couple of known kisses of death out at the racetrack, and I was on yesterday with my buddy Jersey Kyle, and we heard them say the Rams couldn't lose, and the next thing you know, that became our play based
Well,
on nothing else other than that.
that's what I really liked about that game last night because, to be honest with you, if you're looking at it on paper, and that's the difference between paper and doing your homework. On paper, how could you see the Dolphins even having a shot on the game on paper? The way the Rams were playing, obviously coming into the game, the way the Dolphins have been struggling. But I looked at it a lot more. I looked deeper into that game. I just felt, I saw that little cusp that I thought the Dolphins could start playing better football. I saw it against Buffalo. I had them in that game getting 7. And I just saw that number. That number just intrigued me. I mean, keeping it at 2.5 pretty much the whole week, then dropping it at the very end down to 2. I mean, I already made my decision much sooner than that before it even went down to 2. But I just thought the way that number was set up on the game, I mean, there's certain things you look into. And, I've been around it long enough to have the experience to know numbers. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right all the time. But my instincts are pretty good on certain matchups and certain situations. And I just thought the Dolphins were going to come with the right game plan. And by doing that and the line working going down, I just thought it was making that play look more and more interesting for me.
All right, well, you were good last week. I mean, you were all over Ole Miss in the game against
Yeah,
uh,
crushed them.
yeah, Georgia. You had Pittsburgh in the NFL, and that was an interesting game. You're living and dying in that one as Pittsburgh fumbles at the 1 when it looks like they're going in for the score that's ultimately going to cover the point spread for you. Somehow get the ball back. They just acquired a jet cast off there in Mike Williams. Russell Wilson throws a looper. It looked like they were going to invoke the infield fly rule on this play, but Williams is so far clear that he makes the catch over the shoulder, goes in for the score. That puts Pittsburgh not only over the spread, but a winner outright ultimately. Although you still had to sweat that fucking game out. I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was ridiculous how it came down to the end. And then you were big on the Chargers over Tennessee. So a 3-1 week. The only loss that you had, which wow, this should have never happened either, was the BYU Utah game, where BYU did everything in its power to bungle that game away and still ended up winning by a point, but failing to cover the 4 and a hook
Yeah.
of the point spread. So nice job, Scotty M. 3-1. What are you looking at this week? Because it's a wide open spectrum here. I mean, feel free to give
Yeah.
us an over under in a hockey game, whatever it is that you're looking at. Well, we want to take advantage of it.
Well, I'll tell you, this card this week absolutely sucks in college football, to be honest, other than a couple of big matchups again out of the SEC. But mainly the card is a brutal card. But I did find a couple of games that looked very interesting to me, and I'm going to try to take advantage of it. I'm going to start with this Navy Tulane game. This Tulane team right now is just playing absolutely tremendous football. They've won 7 in a row. They're 4-1 on the road. Obviously Navy's won their home games. They're 3-1 at home. But I just like this Tulane team right now. I think they're playing excellent football on both sides of the ball. They're averaging 41 points a game. And they're huge on their third down conversions, one of the best in the nation. I think they're ranked 6th in the nation on third down conversions. So that means they keep the ball moving. And if they keep the ball moving, that keeps that Navy offense off the field. I like Tulane in this game. They're making the line 6.5 as we speak, 6.5. I would make this line about 5.5. Bring it down to full point. I think Tulane continues their winning ways. They're playing excellent football, as I said, on both sides of the ball. Nobody's been within 8 points of this team, Defo, in their last 7 games during this win streak. The closest game they've had has been 8. I don't think this game is going to be one of these close games. I think Tulane's going to take advantage. Navy obviously started out the season. I believe they were 6-0. They're 1-2 in their last 3, so there's been a little decline in them. I think they're going to run into a buzzsaw. They're making a real respectable line here, putting Tulane 6.5 on the road at Navy. One team is, they both got basically the same records. I like Tulane in this game. I think they blow them out. I think they win by double digits. So take Tulane.
All right, Tulane laying 6 and a hook on the road against Navy, a team that's given a very good account of itself all season long and been a major factor and sweetheart team against the point spread, as far as I know. I don't know if they're up there with Army, which finally lost to a point spread, but yeah, I mean, Navy's been tracking. They've been riding those ships right in behind the wave of enthusiasm degenerates have for the Army football team. All right, so that's number one. You're going to college football, and this is Saturday. Tulane laying 6 and a hook against Navy. What else you have for us, Scotty M?
I got one more game in college football that, again, nothing too pretty. These matchups I'm using this week on marquee matchups, but I'm in it for the money, so I don't really care about the marquee matchups. I'm looking for the advantage. But this Coastal Carolina is playing Marshall this week. These teams can light it up when they want to. I think this is the week they both light it up. They got a total of about 56 points on this game. I'm going to leave it right there at the 56. I think this game's going over. I think both these teams are going to pour a lot of points on. I don't know who's going to win the game. I could care less who's going to win it. I'm looking at the total points. I think both offenses will show up. They're going to go at each other. Marshall 5-0 this year at home. The other side's 2-2 on the road. But they could score points against each other. And I like the number on the game. I thought it could be a little higher. I'm going to take that 56. I'm going to go over. I think both teams are going to put up, at least in the high 20s to high 30s each. So I'm looking for 63, 64 points. Go over the 56.
It's always a great position too, because you're never out of it with the over until the game is actually
Well, it's
the final
over.
gun is sounded. I mean, it doesn't look good sometimes, and you can kind of tell when it's 0-0 after the first quarter and 3-0 at the half that you're fucked. But
Yeah.
uh, in the case of having an over in a game like this, I mean, it's great. You're in some sports book surrounded by people, and you're cheering for both sides to fucking score. Yeah, every time they put a touchdown on the board, you're jumping out of your chair and thinking, I'm that much closer to going to the cashier at the end of the ball game and making a little score. All right, so going over Coastal Carolina and Marshall. Scotty M really searching, digging deep to find the hidden treasure that was buried on the Etosha to
Yeah.
come up with some college games. Not exactly going with the marquee stuff here, but trying to make you guys some money. All right, I'm assuming you're going to transition into the National Football League where you've been having success lately, Scotty M.
Yes. I like a couple of games this week. Again, first one I'm going to talk, I'm going to jump right into the Miami Dolphins. I made a little suggestion to my players that I thought Miami was going to start building in the right direction, and it worked out great. I had them, like I said, against Buffalo. I had them last night. I think they blow out the Raiders this weekend. I think this is a step up game for them. I think they're going to show up on offense. They're going to really unleash the offense finally. Their defense has been playing pretty good the last couple of games. Their defense isn't that bad. It seems like they get inspired when they see that offense. When they jump out to an early lead, seems like that gives them, that little lift. And I think there's no way the Raiders, a team like this that's lost, what have they lost? 5 straight games in a row. They're 1-4 on the road. I mean, this is a perfect, if you think about it, this is the perfect uplifting for the Miami Dolphins if they want to start trying to put some back-to-back-to-back winners together. I think this is the perfect game. The line on the game indicates to me it's all about the Dolphins. They're making it 7.5. I'm not leaving it at 7.5. I'm buying a full point, keep it under a touchdown of 6.5. But I think the Dolphins blow out the Raiders. This is the perfect situation. I know they're coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, short week, Monday night. They're playing Sunday. I don't think it really matters because I think they came off that game very jacked up. I think they're going to come into this game right. They're going to have a good week of practice. They're coming against a team that's just shit right now. And I like the Dolphins to blow out the Raiders by at least probably 12 to 18 points in this game. Go with Miami to get the win again.
All right, and if they lose, you're going to come on the show next week with a Mark Davis hairdo. Is
Yeah.
that true? Do you have a salad bowl that you can use? No, you could never do that. It would destroy the image of what Scotty M is all about here. Looking very prosperous. That's always a good thing. All right, Miami Dolphins over the Raiders, a team in total discord at this stage of the season, and you have to figure very short leash, probably Black Friday, or whatever, Black Monday, I guess it is in the NFL. I'm
Well,
thinking Thanksgiving already. You're probably going to see Antonio Pierce being replaced. I would imagine things
yeah.
continue like this.
Well, the only thing that concerns me, like I said, is coming from the West Coast on the short week, playing on Monday night. Now they're coming home. But I think they're going to get that momentum. I think they're jacked up. If you watched after the game, a lot of these players, it seemed like they were all, jacked up about that win. And I think that momentum will carry over. Sports is momentum. When you start building momentum and players start gelling together, you see it really carries the teams. So in football, you only play once a week, basically. So you got to get that momentum and start carrying week after week. You start going on a nice little 3-4 game run. And I think the Dolphins can do that based on their schedule and the way they're starting to come into play. So take advantage of a weak team like the Raiders, who probably got their head buried in the sand. They should probably be on South Beach instead of at the Hard Rock Stadium. So I think the Dolphins could take advantage of it and win that game pretty handily. And I like another play.
All right. I was going to say, in the NBA, of course, it's well known that South Beach is the Miami Heat's sixth man. With NBA players too, who are inclined to probably stay out till all hours of the morning on a place where things never close. But for where Vegas, naturally is taking advantage of the whole sixth man principle. But with players coming to Las Vegas, you have to figure that they're going to be partying a little bit with all of the capital that they have. I think this is the one place where a team from Vegas actually could get into more jackpots than they would if they were home. So they have to make a West Coast to East Coast run, essentially, and then come and play outside in what should be. I think it's going to be fairly mild weather by South Florida standards, but there's usually a big meltdown there. So I'm with you. I think the Dolphins showed genuine signs of life in the game against Buffalo. They lost it, beaten by a 61-yard field goal at the buzzer. And then they come out and have a decent showing last night. Their defense was much better than it has been in previous games. But when they've had meltdowns in the fourth quarter and at critical times, so yeah, I'm with you. I like that call, Miami. Unless we run into that known kiss of death, and he loves the Dolphins at the track on Saturday, I'm going to go ahead and send it in on your suggestion.
Don't run into him, please. Stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has a couple of those guys in their life, where the minute they start rooting for your horse, it's the mush theory out of Bronx Tale, right? Where he comes screaming down the stairs there, come on, kryptonite, come on, kryptonite. And they all have kryptonite, and they rip the tickets up and they walk out. They can't win.
Yeah, well, the best part is when you have those mushes in your life, and then they ask you, "Hey, who do you like, Scott? Who do you like in this game?" Oh yeah, I love that game too. Oh shit, I say.
That's it. You need some piano wire just to get through the rest of the day. All right, so we have Miami, and you're going to go ahead and, as you say, buy this down, and what that means for the uninitiated. Although I doubt people that aren't interested in gambling are watching this, but is that you're going to pay a little bit of a premium on the juice to avoid having some disaster happen where you get beat by the hook there and have to lay the full 7 points. So down to 6 and a hook. All right. And what else you have for us?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with the man himself. I got to go with this matchup. You got Buffalo playing Kansas City. Obviously, all eyes will be on that game. But I don't think that this Buffalo team is going to beat this Kansas City team based on what I'm seeing. This team is just dynamite. They're first in the NFL in third down conversions, Kansas City, which is huge if you think about it. That means they keep moving the ball. And this guy Mahomes, when you keep moving the ball with him, he makes things happen, and he gets points for his teams. I don't think that Buffalo is right, to match. I mean, the game's at Buffalo. I get it. The line Buffalo 2.5. I'm not giving any points. I don't want to give any points away when it comes to this Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to jump on Kansas City in this game. They're 4-0 on the road. They're 5-0 at home. They're playing as good as anybody. They find ways to win. Even last week, 4 guys right through the middle of the line to block a field goal. When do you see that happen? I mean, 4 guys, not 1, not 2, 3, but 4 guys get through to block a field. Basically, any 4 of them would have blocked that kick to keep that winning streak. So it seems like they just can't find ways to lose. All they do is win. I like Kansas City in this spot. I think Mahomes is going to have a showcase type of game. I think Josh Allen's going to do what he does sometimes. He's going to force it against that defense, and that defense takes advantage of mistakes. So I like Kansas City in this game. I buy this line up to +3 from 2.5. Anyway, just to get the locked-in number. +3. KC continues. They're going to be 10-0, guys.
The only time you see 4 guys break through the line and block a field goal like that is when you have Denver on the money line. which you're sitting there counting your money. And the next thing you know, I mean, a rarity where you see a 35-yard field goal missed in the National Football League anymore. Now they're out there 55 yards. You're thinking the guy should make this.
Right.
And yeah, so if you were sitting there with Denver on the money line, you had the point spread covered, and that seemed to be a lock from early on in the ball game because KC. I mean, one thing that they haven't been so explosive where they're putting a lot of points on the board. I guess in that game against San Francisco, looked like they were starting to get it together, but they're life and death every week. So very interesting pick there.
Well,
Kansas City Chiefs 9-0
yeah,
against the Buffalo Bills taking points.
the key with Kansas City, though, Defo, if you think about it, just find ways to win. I mean,
Yeah.
good find ways to win games. Bad teams, as you see, they leave it out there and they find ways to blow the games or make crucial mistakes or critical mistakes at the wrong times, and they give the games away. You're not going to. Kansas City's not going to give games away. They're not that type of team. They're so well coached, and they got great players. They know how to play around each other. I mean, Buffalo's a great team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if they can match up against Kansas City. Both sides of the ball on offense and defense. And I think to give a team that's 9-0 right now that just find ways to win until they lose, I'm not going to go against them. I'm going to ride with Mahomes. He always seems to stick it in everyone's backside. And when you go against him, he finds ways to beat you. And I'd rather have him than anyone else in the National Football League when it comes to crucial time and it comes to time to get the job done. This guy finds the way to get the job done better than anybody other than probably Brady in the history of the NFL. So I'll take my chances with Mahomes and grabbing points on this game.
It's interesting. You're getting points with a team that's 9-0 in today's NFL, but they are on the road against Buffalo, which it hasn't been that treacherous there. If you wanted to see evidence of global warming, we haven't seen some blizzard in October in Buffalo, New York, which having gone to school in Syracuse, I can vouch for the fact that the weather absolutely sucks because it's even worse there. And it starts snowing from what we always used to say, you better find a girl that you can shack up with at registration for the fall semester. Because by the time you get to the middle of October, nobody's going to be able to go outside. You'll never be able to meet a soul. All right, Scotty M, how can people find your services and take advantage of all of the picks that you put out there in virtually every sport?
Guys, check out everything we do. We put it out there for free every day. We put out free picks. We have private service games. If you're interested and you're a more qualified, serious player, you can contact me directly. I mean, we're doing a lot of nice winning. We're consistent. That's the name of the game. We look for our spots. We don't play a lot of stuff. We're looking for quality over quantity. That's how I kind of built my brand over the years. A lot of guys like to give out a lot of opinions. I don't know if that helps you at the end of the day. Most guys come complaining that it doesn't help them. But if you want to check out our free stuff. It's on Instagram. My official Instagram page is SM Sports Picks, Picks. I got free stuff up there today. I have bonus plays up there. Take advantage of the opportunities. Check out the winning. We've been very consistent. Boom. That's the name of the game.
All right, excellent job. Coming off a 3-1 week. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen, giving you Tulane minus 6.5 over in the Coastal Carolina Marshall game. Miami wants to get it down to 6.5 to beat the Raiders and cover the point spread. And then the Kansas City Chiefs getting points against the Buffalo Bills on the road. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for being with us. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen, here on Bury Your Bookie. All right, if you want to test somebody's sports knowledge, just ask him to explain to you the format for the NBA Cup, which was probably one of the biggest reaches I've ever seen in terms of promotional considerations and trying to pump up interest in a sport that regular season, let's face it, there's a lot of drudgery there in the NBA, probably too many games. But instead, they give you more games, at least a couple of more games that don't even count. I'm waiting for Popovich. I don't know if he's, I would imagine he's calling the shots. Popovich over Peter Holt is the name of the San Antonio Spurs owner. But I'm waiting for a team to just say, hey, fuck this. We're not playing in your in-season tournament. It's a joke. Lakers won it last year. I don't think it did them any good. Does anybody? Well, I remembered it. Indiana kind of established itself a little bit. Halliburton was taken off during that period of time. But other than that, it just seems like a completely futile fucking waste of time to contest this tournament. So they're doing it again. I sort of understand a little bit about the format now, as they take the 30 NBA teams and put them in 6 divisions of 5. That's their so-called soccer group play. And anytime you're borrowing something from the world of soccer, I think you're making a just brutal mistake. So the NBA has that going for it. You have examples where the Miami Heat play Indiana twice in the next couple of weeks, and one of them counts for the tournament and one of them doesn't. So which one do you decide? You would naturally want to take the game that you won. Then there are my favorites, which are the tiebreakers that exist, including the Gino Auriemma special. As you have to try your best to run up the score in these games because point differential is like the second criteria for deciding tiebreakers. If you really want to win the cup and play 2 extra games in the regular season before you get to the postseason, where you could be potentially playing what? If you had 4 series that went the distance, you're playing another 28 games, another third of a season, essentially. So why would you want to play 2 extra games in a regular season? Nobody should want to win this cup. Everybody should try and lose every game that it's involved with. And Adam Silver, it's time and that you just looked yourself in a mirror and said, I have made a crucial mistake in trying to market the game. If it's working, then it's beyond me. So the NBA Cup is now going to be drawing a lot of attention, and I don't know that teams are gearing their seasons towards winning that distinction or having that distinction. And then on top of that, imagine that the Lakers actually raise a banner. What a disgrace to the memory of Jerry West that they raised a banner at their arena and trying to commemorate and signify that they were winners of the inaugural NBA Cup. Such ugliness. It does seem like a waste, but they're going into it for a second year. And then we wanted to pay tribute to one of the greats. I had a chance to cover the USC Trojans for several years when John Robinson, who died yesterday, checked out yesterday at 89. A real distinguished gentleman and one of those guys that was a pleasure to be around. You could see the kind of class that he exuded and everything that he did. Had a lot of success at USC when his first tenure was going in the 70s, mid-70s, 76 to 82. A couple of Heisman Trophy winners that he coached, Charles White, Marcus Allen, all kinds of All-American talent, and a national championship in 1978. We pay our respects to John Robinson. Great, great guy. May he rest in peace. Had success in other areas as well. Was a coach at the Rams. Was with UNLV. But a real distinguished gentleman, and certainly is going to be missed by the sports community. All right, we have to get out of here. Thanks to Scotty M for joining us. Good luck with all of your plays today. I'm Jeff DeForrest for Greenlight Ventures, Bet Online, and the people at No Filter. That's today's edition of Bury Your Bookie.